Hey guys, Nate here, and if you already have a bloodthirsty hatred for EA Electronic Arts, boy oh boy, do I have the story for you. So, what you're looking at right now is some comparisons between EA's Star Wars Battlefront 3 compared to their previous project that's 2.5 years old now, Battlefield 4. And what you're seeing right now is the numbers compared to people playing online on their servers. And it's obvious there's a pretty big elephant in this metaphorical room. Battlefield 4 is significantly outpacing Star Wars Battlefront 3 in terms of players online. Star Wars Battlefront 3 has about 68,500 players online. Battlefield 4 has 76,873 players online. It is a significant margin by about 10,000 players. Very huge, a little bit upwards of 10%. I'm no math magician or a matician. There we go, okay. Yeah, so I'm obviously no mathematician, but that's a pretty big margin that Battlefield 4 has the lead on. And now, real quick, I'm also going to share with you some sales records. So, we don't actually have raw confirmation on this. EA has refused to release sales records just yet for Battlefield. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. EA has failed to release sales records for Battlefront 3 yet, but they've said it's around 13 million. Now, compared to the same time about 2.5 years ago for the launch of Battlefield 4, they're about 13.05 million copies sold. So they're very, very, very similar in terms of copies sold so far. But Battlefield 4 is still outpacing the game. And what I'm getting at here is Battlefield 4, a 2.5-year-old game, has successfully managed to retain a higher percentage of its audience over the course of 2.5 years than Star Wars Battlefront 3 could do in 2.5 months. And that is ridiculously scary. Now, that said, Battlefield 4 has had some significant advantages that I must concede. One, it's available on last-gen consoles, which is pretty significant if you're looking at the statistics that I'm showing you right now. Furthermore, Battlefield 4 has gone through some sales, right? I mean, there's one time, or I think it's still ongoing, where if you subscribe to EA Access for like $6 a month, then you can play Battlefield 4. So obviously, Battlefield 4 does have some pretty big advantages that it holds over Battlefront 3. Oh my gosh, these names are so confusing. You don't have any idea how many times I've missaid one of these games' names. It's ridiculous. But anyway, as you can see, it's a very ominous for EA and Star Wars Battlefront 3, seeing as they've been able to retain such a small amount of their audience in just 2.5 months. Less than it. I think less than 2 months even. It's a ridiculously short amount of time, and it already appears it's broken its, air quotations, honeymoon phase, right? And I think that's because it's suffering from a lack of content. It's almost got Titanfall syndrome, if you want to call it that, right? Titanfall, really well-hyped game. Game looked really good. Game was really fun when you played it. But the problem was there just wasn't a lot to do. There wasn't a lot of content that you had available. You didn't have, like, a lot of unlockables that you could work towards or anything like that that gave you incentive to play. And I think Battlefront 3 suffers from the same problem in a similar sense. And I think that's the biggest issue that's kind of causing this divide. And I hope EA can institute something that's not DLC to help fix this problem, right? I mean, I think they've gone a little bit overboard with DLC in this game. There's only, what, like 4 planets you could access in this, and a small handful of modes without a campaign. They really just underperformed in the level of content that they should have brought to the hands of the user. I mean, they missed a very good opportunity to implement a very good campaign. And I had a conversation with a friend about this earlier. He said he probably wouldn't have played the campaign anyway. But I thought about it and said, I probably would be a little bit more invested in the multiplayer too. But a campaign would have really made this game a lot better. It looks amazing with the release of Star Wars Episode 7 just literally around the metaphorical corner. It seems like a very, very big collection of wasted opportunities on part of EA. That said, I think DICE did what they could. I can't exactly tell you how much DICE would be at fault for this, but I think they did a good job with the engine, with how the game is balanced. But other than that, I think there are some pretty significant issues resulting from EA's decisions, and maybe even a little bit of fault at DICE as well. That said, apparently users believe Battlefield 4 is a more viable game to play right now than is Star Wars Battlefront 3, which is very ominous. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like. If you liked, dislike. If you disliked, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.